Good morning, everybody. I spoke to the chair and they're getting ready for the session. They're having some technical problems. So as soon as they will find a way to connect, the session will start. So once again, good morning, everybody. I received news from the chair. They're still having technical problems. They will connect as soon as they can. But meanwhile, we can already start the session. And so I would like to ask if the first speaker is present, perhaps Stefano Cunto. Please, could you confirm you can hear me? Anyone?
Sì, ti sentiamo. Ciao Giulio. Scusami, avevo
Oh.
chiesto alla professoressa Cesera se potevo presentare per primo. Non so se hai avuto modo di...
Non ho parlato direttamente con lei, ho parlato con Damiano Perri, comunque non penso ci siano problemi. Se per gli altri va bene.
For us, it's okay.
Okay, so if for everyone is okay, we could let Piero present first. So I think we all agree. And so I introduced the work Transdisciplinary Impact-Oriented Strategies through a Design Evaluation Approach, the case study of confiscated assets from the mafia in Naples. And Piero Zizzania, or Zizzania, sorry for the accent, is presenting. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I share my screen. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yeah, perfectly.
Nice. Okay, so the contribution is part of the Print Research Confiscated Assets in Transition, involving three Italian research university. Now we present a part of this research process made by the Napolitan team group with me, Simona Capaldo, Benedetta Grieco, Laura Di Tommaso, Caterina Loffredo, and the professors Orfina Fatigato and Maria Cerreta. We present firstly the need of a design evaluation approach, the context of the research about the case study of confiscated assets from the mafia in Naples. So we presented the design
Hello,
evaluation.
can you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear us? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Please, you can proceed.
Okay.
It was just an audio test from the room D. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we present the design evaluation methodology, some results and some conclusions. Okay, there is some sound. Okay, thank you. So the need of a design evaluation approach born by in the context of the development of integrated urban regeneration process when physical transformation goals of urban space are overlapping with the need of generated spatial and social change, it becomes necessary to adopt an impact-oriented approach. Van Klee defines social impact as a change capable to influencing lifestyle, culture, communities, political system, and collective fears and aspiration. So the design evaluation approach is about to design the impact, like the change that we want it occurs, to design the process building to change not only the physical matter and characteristic of the built environment, but also the social, economical, and environmental dynamics toward time-based strategies. And to design the evaluation tool, not only to measure, but supporting action to greater effective and strong ethical responsibilities. So our general goals is about to collect data and support evidence-based strategies, apply methodologies to integrate this design process, not just for accountability, but to guide decision-making process, including also some emotional, perceptual, and aspect about how people feel the space and the social relationship, and to engage different stakeholders. For the Italian law and the national strategy of confiscated assets, the goal is how to reuse these confiscated assets for a public and social aims to promoting justice and just institutional partnership and social inclusion. These assets contribute in a typical form of heritage, often critical and problematic, but also rich in symbolic and civic values. Their social representation can activate transformative process capable of generating positive impact in both urban and territorial scales. Usually, the main problem about the reuse process of these assets, including lack of tools and knowledge about how to regenerate this project, the absence of long-term strategic vision, and the uncertain time frame gap between the confiscation phase and final reassignment. So we propose an hybrid methodology integrating multi-criteria decision analysis, in particular the social multi-criteria evaluation and the tool of Socrates, and the evolutionary evaluation approach to develop a recursive evaluation to follow the stochastic and uncertain nature of the project process as it evolves, facilitating the construction of preferring ranking of design alternatives based on a system of criteria evaluation, and to include the preferability of different alternatives based on various groups and stakeholders engaged. The results is recursive and incremental methodology, design evaluation and methodology. In this approach, design options are not fixed solution, but possible scenarios that evolves based on how the process develops over time. The method is based on interactive cycle of analysis, ideation, creation, evaluation, and revision. So we combine tools and methods from architecture and urban design with those forms of urban valuation, financial analysis, and impact assessment. In the first phase, the methodological workflow, called exploration and immersion, involved a dual process, the collection of territorial knowledge and a critical and interpretative reading of the urban context. Starting from the public list of confiscated assets of the municipality of Naples, and the explorative analysis was conducted to select a relevant assets for our studies. Naples had 140 assets assigned to the municipality of Naples, and we understand the territorial distribution of these assets, their typological characteristic. So we select 11 case studies divided by 5 teams and 12 design group. One of the main output of this phase is the creation of Operational Atlas. It is a booklet designed as a decision support tools to enable an informal comparison between expert and non-expert in the pre-design phases. Those elaboration are some example of the operational atlas. In the second phase, called design and evaluation, this represents the central moment of the laboratory, where the knowledge acquired during the exploration phase was reworked with a design-oriented approach. The goal is to support the creative process to define strategies through the involvement of different actors, to evolve these evaluation metrics over time during the integration with design and stakeholders engaged. With the Socrates tool in the social multi-criteria evaluation approach, we employed these tools as to selecting between alternatives, but not only to select alternatives, but also to reflect and generative as a reflective and generative device, because each proposal is for each proposal it is possible to suggest adjustment through the analysis of both qualitative and quantitative indicators, and also to find some interpretation of the stakeholder preferences, and to develop a dendrogram to understand the possible preference of each social group and possible synergistic relationship. In the third phase, the process called project experimentation focus on the spatial, technical, and economic validation of the strategy developed using advanced architecture and urban design tools. We are working group some proposal testing their morphological and compositional consistencies, technical feasibility, and long-term sustainability. In this phase, we saw a strong integration between design tools and financial evaluation tools. The financial sustainability analysis not only tests the intervention feasibilities, but also guide the design choice toward new economic model for the confiscated assets. In the last phase, called dissemination and storytelling, we focus on the creation of an articulated system for communicating the main results of the project and the research. It employs graphic, visual, perceptive, and textual content to present a diverse audience, highlight the transdisciplinary nature of the work and the contribution of all participants. The core of this phase was the final exhibition, a public event that showcased the outcomes of the study experience and the research. We propose a discussion between key stakeholders during the exhibition with the brainstorming session. The exhibition became an opportunity to knowledge exchange and collective learning and engagement and critical reflection. So with this research, we are discussing about the design evaluation approach as a crucial approach to addressing complex socio-spatial challenges in fragile and complex contexts. Transdisciplinary and participatory methods help us to uncover hidden values and engage diverse stakeholders and co-creators. Confiscated space become arenas for the negotiating new spatial and social values, and the impact evaluation is could be used as a design process to inform strategic decision making. And the rule of architecture, urban, and evaluation are crucial for spatial and social justice. Thank you.
Professor Cerreta, you're muted.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, really thank you. And really also sorry for all the technical problems, but this morning we had many difficulties, so I hope that now it works well, our session. Really thank you to Piero for his interesting presentation. I don't know if the participants have some issues, some question for Piero. I have a consideration about the implementation of social multi-criteria evaluation for confiscated asset. Do you think that the approach that you have implemented could be useful for the definition of some situated strategies, and in which way it could be improved in the next step?
Yes, we try to use it as a design tool for the situated strategies. This could occurs if we can consider the different stakeholder of the local dimension. So we can engage it and we can share with them the different alternatives and different values that occurs in the design process. So this is one of the dimension, the situated dimension of the social multi-criteria evaluation. Then the other is the possibility to use the Socrates tool as a incremental and diversive tool. So the alternatives is not only a fixed solution, but are possible alternatives that we can modify and develop during the process, using also the evaluation and design tools.
Okay, really interesting. Really, thank you. And now we go to the next presentation, that is of Sveva Ventre, Federica Guglielmi, Ludovica La Rocca, and myself. Please, Sveva, the floor is yours. The title is a game-based collaborative decision-making approach for cultural heritage reuse. Thank you, Sveva.
Excuse me, just 1 second before you start, Sveva. Professor Cerreta, may I ask you to turn off the microphone during the presentation, because we can hear some reverb
Okay.
in the room. Thank you very much.
Can I start? Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Giulio. Thank you, Professor Cerreta. And yes, I will start right now with the presentation. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Today I'm presenting a research project that is carried out by the collaboration with Professor Maria Cerreta, as she already said, Federica Guglielmi, and Ludovica La Rocca, and of course me. This research stems from Guglielmi's thesis project, developed within a broader research program in which our Department of Architecture at the University of Naples, Federico II, is a partner. Specifically, I will be discussing about this game-based collaborative decision-making approach for cultural heritage reuse, with a particular focus on the Colommunity project, centered on the archaeological site of the Colombario del Fusaro, which is located in the Campi Flegrei area next to Naples. So, as shown in the index, the structure of our presentation mirrors a little that of the research itself. We begin with a brief introduction to the broader context in which the study is, of course, academically and from the literary review point of view situated. Then we move on the methodology and supporting materials, including the use of course, gamification as a as a tool, and an impact assessment model based on the theory of change. Finally, we will analyze the community project and conclude with some final reflection. So we present the project title, Colommunity, the Heritage Community Project for the Enhancement of the Colombario del Fusaro in Bacoli. I would like to introduce a little bit of the research that is behind our project. So we start speaking about preservation of heritage, because preserving heritage is not just about protecting monuments or artifacts, but it is about recognizing shared values, strengthening the bonds between people and places, and promoting more inclusive forms of civic participation. Cultural heritage holds not only symbolic and historical significance, but also offers real opportunities in terms of education and social cohesion. This vision is fully reflected in the European agendas of culture, which call for clear guidelines on the management and enhancement of cultural heritage. Moreover, heritage is an essential element to active and structure involvement of local communities and civil society. Their participation in the management, creative use, and valorization of heritage is increasingly recognized as central to the regeneration of urban spaces, and of course to strengthen the social and cultural dynamics of them. In this regard, we drew special attention, of course, to Faro Convention adopted by the Council of Europe in 2005, which marks a significant shift in how we understand cultural heritage. The convention redefines heritage as a living and relational dimension, deeply connected to the communities that give it meanings. In this light, heritage is no longer just an object of preservation, but a strategic asset that encourage public participation in the safeguarding and management of heritage, recognizes cultural heritage as a right for all, promotes the role of heritage in social cohesion. In line with the European directions for the valorization of cultural heritage through innovation and digital transformation, Italy has launched the extended partnership called Project Changes, Cultural Heritage Active Innovation for Sustainable Society, part of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan of Italy. This initiative promotes a regenerative approach to heritage, encouraging collaboration between research institutions, public administration, businesses, and of course, citizens. The work we present today is part of this broader research framework and is being carried out by the Department of Architecture, as I already said, in the Campi Flegrei area, an extraordinarily rich context, both naturally and, of course, culturally. Rather than focusing solely on individual monuments, this project particularly focuses on distributed heritage, recognizing the collective value of landscapes and the layers of historical and cultural meaning, which are embedded into the territory. This approach goes beyond the outdated notion of minor heritage to affirm the importance of context, relationships, and lived experience. In line with the Faro Convention, of course, the research aims at establishing living labs to encourage the active participation of local communities, developing strategies, methods, and tools for the co-enhancements of cultural sites through heritage communities, nourishing historical and archaeological research involving local communities, developing digital platforms or tools for the management and enhancement of historic landscapes. As the sociologist Roger Callois pointed out, games have a social vocation. So they create shared experience, bringing people together and encouraging engagement beyond the game itself. In the context of our research, we speak about gamification as a concept that became widespread around 2010, especially within the digital media. It refers to the use of game design techniques, such as points, rewards, and challenges in non-game context, to make activities more engaging and, of course, motivating. Gamification has since expanded into fields like education, marketing, and more recently to cultural heritage. But why it is considered so as effective because it taps into the psychology of motivation and behavior. So it turns tasks that might seem repetitive or boring, like learning or data collection, into something enjoyable and immersive. To better understand how gamification works, we share this more scheme, which stands for motivation, occasion, action, and response, which was developed by Viola and Cassone. As you can see from the slide, it is a circular process, which is made of, which starts, with motivation, then comes the occasion, so the opportunity to act in a favorable context. Next is the action, so which is the clear action, achievable and repeatable. Finally, there is the response, so the feedback that it reinforces motivation and keeps the cycle going. If the loops work, if the loop works well, it creates sustainable engagement, turning simple action into long-lasting behaviors. This is what makes gamification, of course, really powerful. In the context of urban transformation and cultural heritage, and specifically, of course, in our project, this model has been reformulated to better reflect the complexity and dynamism of real-world processes. Rather than following a rigid cyclical structure, the adaptive framework shown in the slide presents a more fluid and dynamic progression, tailored to participatory context and, of course, local responsiveness. This reworking draws on the work of Chiara Mazzarella and, of course, on the methodology proposed for heritage communities' urban living labs. Within this framework, the process unfolds in 3 iterative phases, incorporating social multi-criteria evaluation as a tool, of course, to guide decision-making, enhance stakeholder collaboration, and assess sustainability and circular economy potential. This methodology supports the co-design and activation of community-led initiatives, ensuring the decision-making process is both inclusive and context-sensitive. So while the more scheme structure remains a useful foundation for our project, here we propose a flexible tool within a participatory and adaptive methodology grounded in territorial engagement and co-responsibility. From this perspective, gamification turns into a platform for dialogue, enabling cultural institutions to connect with communities and technological innovation, and to generate shared values that can drive, of course, long-term sustainable transformation. We structure our methodology into 3 main components. First, we use a combination of hard and soft analysis tools. This means we worked on both quantitative, measurable data, and qualitative, more subjective data. Secondly, we implemented the gamification technique to foster active participation and engagement, and this, of course, included the user profiling, points, challenges, rewards, and, of course, also quizzes and questionnaires and leaderboards. By applying these elements, we aim to create more dynamic and motivating interactions, particularly within the context of cultural heritage. Finally, we carried out an ex-ante impact assessment through the theory of change approach, which is a useful tool for tackling complex social challenges and helps understand how actions contribute to broader and long-term social transformation. It functions both as a planning and evaluation framework, guiding each step from activities to outcomes, but we will see it later. So as part of an initial mapping of the ecological heritage in the Campi Flegrei area, we focused on a little known but highly significant site, which is in Bacoli, which is the Colombario del Fusaro. This is actually a Roman funerary monument, which is notable for its rare circular plan, which is quite unusual for this type of architecture, usually rectangular. Despite its architectural and historical importance, the site is currently inaccessible to the public, even though the restoration work has been completed. The Colombario is publicly owned by the municipality of Bacoli, but a lack of an implemented management plan has prevented its reopening and use. So this situation highlights the urgent need for the new valorization and engagement strategies to reconnect the monument with its urban context and community. To ensure the success of the Colombario project, we carefully mapped the stakeholders using, of course, power interest matrix, and this helped us identify key groups such as local residents, associations, schools, public institutions, and third sector organization. We then explored shared values among these groups through a questionnaire focusing on their collective appreciation for cultural heritage and the desire to enhance community belonging through active participation. Finally, the desire map captured the specific aspiration of these stakeholders, like increasing knowledge of the site, improving accessibility, and encouraging collaborative activities. Community offers an interactive mutual learning platform that hybridizes a game-based approach with the territorial exploration method of geocaching. This platform encourages active participation from citizens and third sector organizations in the rediscovery of the Colombario through the creation of cultural experiences, fostering cooperation and collective action. The promotion of real actions in the territory is possible through interactive challenges that invite users to co-explore and rediscover the Colombario del Fusaro and its surroundings. These challenges guide users along a collaborative itinerary, enhancing their knowledge of local cultural heritage. To encourage participation, the platform offers rewards such as free tickets to heritage sites, priority access to cultural events, and of course discounts on local products made possible through partnership with local organizations. This creates a positive cycle that supports community engagement and promotes circular economy in the territory. Users can register under 3 profiles. So as you can see from the slide, we have local community members who share stories and experiences to strengthen cultural identity. Secondly, we have experts in history and archaeology, of course, who contributed to cultural content and narratives. Then we have third sector organizations that can organize events and, of course, promote them through the platform and projects for sustainable heritage management. Using the GPS and geocaching technology, the first challenge leads us to the Colombario del Fusaro, where the users learn about the site's historical significance through immersive activities. As the users explore, they can unlock new content and, of course, opportunities to engage further with historical, with the platform and the historical heritage. Starting from the needs identified to the territorial exploration, we designed the value chain by engaging with key stakeholders and like local associations, schools, and committees. Our long-term goal is to strengthen the sense of belonging among Bacoli residents towards the Colombario's cultural heritage and to activate the site reuse and management initiatives. To track progress, we developed criteria and indicators embedded in the digital platform, including short surveys and quizzes, to measure knowledge gained, skills developed, and of course, user satisfaction during visits. We based our approach on the theory of change, which emphasized the importance of defining medium and long-term impacts in advance, and then identifying the actions needed to achieve them. The impacts identified include an increase in cooperation between organizations and individuals in the co-management of the Colombario, greater participation of the local population in the enhancement of Bacoli's heritage, the development of a sense of belonging towards the Colombario site, and then the spread, of course, of knowledge among citizens about the cultural asset in question. In conclusion, it is possible to see how the Heritage Community Urban Living Lab methodology helps defining spaces for community involvement and interaction within a dynamic process of cultural heritage enhancement. So the activation of heritage communities can use these methods to structure the 3 main phases it suggests: preparation phase, activation phase, and learning phase. Through gamification, community projects stimulate the activation of communities in the enhancement of cultural heritage and promotes participation through the co-creation of cultural experiences, generating use values, expressing historical and cultural values, and recognizes, of course, the the emotional and the identity values of individual citizens. Finally, through the theory of change, community project plans the expected impacts, designing innovative solutions to trigger them, and structures a process for monitoring and evaluating the social impacts generated to the cultural strategy. Thank you for your attention. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. No, we can't hear you, Professor Cereda.
Sorry, because we have some technical problems also.
Now we can.
Thank you. I don't know if there are some issues. Anyway, I have a consideration. I think that this approach could be particularly interesting when we activate a process of engagement of a local community, and also could be a useful tool for the implementation of the impact assessment, because considering the different action that the process could be promoted, could be interesting to also identify some indicators able to assess the different impact that is that a gamification process is able to generate. So perhaps this next step would be part of the future evolvement of the methodologies.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I totally agree, and thank you for your consideration.
We can work for this.
Yes,
really, thank you. Yeah, and now we have the next presentation that is of Min Darin Somats. Min is with us. I think that I saw before. Hi, Min.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming to this conference. Yes. The floor is yours, and the title of your interventions is Good Practice Inventors and Why It Matters to Urban Health and Inclusivity.
Yes.
Please, the floor is yours, Min. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Min Darin Solmaz, and I'm an architect and researcher at Izmir Planning Agency under Izmir Metropolitan Municipality. Today, I will give a presentation of good practices inventory and why it matters to urban health and inclusivity. It is an explanatory synthesis of 2 case study books we developed in collaboration with the Healthy Cities National Network of Turkey. So we start with the question of why cities need practice-based frameworks. And the cities today function as a convergence zones of overlapping multiscalar crises, accelerating urbanization, widening health disparities, loss of biodiversity, persistent spatial injustices. And Izmir, like many metropolitan areas, is simultaneously navigating the pressures of ecological fragility, demographic change, and uneven access to services and opportunities. We know that urban systems are no longer passive backdrops to these transformations. They have become active arenas for negotiating resilience, equity, and sustainability. However, conventional planning paradigms, sectoral, compartmentalized, and largely reactive, lack the adaptive capacity to address these systematic interconnected challenges. What we urgently need is a methodological reframing, shifting from isolated one-off interventions to anticipatory governance tool to enable structured learning, comparative reflection, and policy transfer. In this context, global frameworks such as Sustainable Development Goals and the One Health paradigm provide essential normative direction. And to address this gap, we developed the Good Practices Inventory, and it is a specially grounded and practice-based knowledge tool that not only aligns with global frameworks, but is also locally adaptable, thematically structured, and methodologically transparent. The first of the stakeholders for this good practice series, the one I'm working on, is the Izmir Planning Agency, and it operates under Izmir Metropolitan Municipality as a mission-oriented, participatory, and agile city lab. We support interdisciplinary planning, produce evidence-based strategies, and contribute to Izmir's positioning in the EU Mission Cities 2030 network. The inventory I aim to presenting today is a part of the broader effort to integrate urban health, inclusive design, and sustainability into our city's long-term vision. The other stakeholder is the Healthy Cities National Network of Turkey. The Good Practices series was conducted in close coordination with them, and the Healthy Cities Network of Turkey aligns with World Health Organization's Healthy Cities program. The network serves as a platform for horizontal governance, knowledge exchange, and institutional learning among Turkish municipalities. For the why good practices matters for Izmir, the strategic positioning of the One Health is the utmost aspect of it. One Health is one of our 5 strategic axes in 2025-2019 strategic plan of Izmir municipality, metropolitan municipality. And we also put this alongside sustainability, demographic governance, infrastructure, and crisis resilience. So this institutional alignment provides not only political legitimacy, but also operates for embedding One Health into spatial planning, urban infrastructure, and public service design. So currently we published 2 volumes for the Good Practices series. The first volume was Good Practices for Healthy Cities of the Future. It focuses on urban interventions that focuses on urban health, One Health triad, human health, environmental health, and animal health. And for the second volume, for Good Practices for Disability Inclusive Cities, we all put this effort and focused on accessibility that is approached through right-based and intersectional lens. Both volumes emphasize cross-scalar governance and equity-centered design. Under the umbrella of One Health, we also use the World Health Organization's Healthy City Phase 7. So it combines people, planet, place, participation, prosperity, and peace. For the methodology, for both books, the methodology is parallel. The research is a bit divided because of the scope of the research, but each of them has the framework of One Health and the 6P framework. If we go in more detail for the methodology, this is the methodology of the first book. We research over 10,000 practices that is curated from both global and regional databases such as World Health Organization Urban Governance for Health, UN Habitat's Urban Agenda, Connected Cities Network. We gathered the data and good case studies of all of them and created a filtering phase. The first filtering phase was based on the SDG relevance. For the first book, we needed SDG 3, 11, 14, and 15. And so this has shortened our scope And then for the second filtering phase, we used a scoring system. So each case was evaluated in a matrix based on digital visibility, institutional replicability, and geographic diversity. And from that scope, for this example, we have gathered 440 good practice examples. And we have divided them to both in One Health dimensions as human health, animal health, and environmental health, and also other aspects of topics such as biodiversity, housing, public policy, water, clean water, energy, and wildlife. So from that final categorization, we have picked 50 to 40 practices for each book, and we have also give them the full data sets available through open access platforms. From researching and compartmentalizing all of these case studies, we have reached some insights during our research process as well. For example, we realized that for both books, the human health was a dominant feature, 66% and 74% respectively, and so we see that there's a focus shifted on human health for these good practices, and most practices implicitly aim to distribute spatial access to green spaces, services, infrastructure, and political voice. Another insight that we gathered was that even though the successful practices were published, they are often remain localized due to weak interdepartmental coordination and financial gaps. And we realized that for replicability and use of other geographical other places, that open data, the use of GIS, participatory mapping, and open source platforms were the best case scenarios. And then we also realized that in disability inclusive projects, there is a shift from accessibility as a regulation to accessibility as a autonomy and representation. So there is a more of a right-based approach. And then for the most important aspect, we realized that there is a need for structured urban knowledge ecosystem within the global network of good practices. Without open classifications, indexing, and institutional curation, we gathered that the best practices remain non-transferable. They remain localized. Before going to the future models, I would like to share a bit of a case examples that we did from our first book. So we categorize them by, for example, there's economy and water waste management for these chapters, and we put the prospective SDGs for each of them, where the case studies are from, the One Health aspects of it, if it's human health, if it's environmental health, and we give a brief introduction. If there's an award, we will add that as well, and then we put the resources for them. So this is a bit of a categorization and publication of the categorization with the methodology itself. Another two examples is, for example, for the wildlife's Ljubljana's BPAT is an example of the good practice. And then these aspects change from localization. When we try localizations, we try not just examples from Europe, but also all over the world, from Africa to Asia as well. For the reflections and the future steps as a municipal government municipal public body, we have a 3-stage knowledge model. On the first phase, through our good practice inventories, action plans, and thematic guides and reports, we systematically review global and local initiatives as seen. We filter, synthesize, and reconstructualize these efforts to construct urban models that are tailored to Izmir's socio-ecological reality. For the second phase, we construct multi-layered analysis in collaboration with national and international networks, often involving cooperative tools, benchmarking studies, and spatial platforms, whether through open source repositories like Foursquare or municipal dashboards. We integrate both secondary data and our own research outputs into accessible knowledge infrastructures. And for the third phase, the implementation phase, we do this through pilot projects, physical interventions, and governance models. What matters most in this phase is not the format, whether tangible or intangible, but the co-creation process. So we do a research-led, citizen-engaged, and institutionally embedded implementation process for it. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to your reflections.
Thank you. Sorry, I hope that you hear. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I
now?
can hear you.
Yes, okay. Now, really thank you for your brilliant presentations. I think it is particularly interesting the evolution of your action plan related to the implementation of significant action that could be oriented to sustainability at the different level, especially considering the SDGs in the different steps. I ask for if there are some action that you have identified that could be more related to temporary use or reuse, that could be particularly interesting for the activation of some situated strategies is the first issue. And the second, if in the third phase of implementation, do you think that could be integrated also a phase of assessment that could be relevant for the identification but also evaluation of the multidimensional impact of the selected action?
So for the aspect of assessment and implementation, right now what we are doing is we are trying to implement a localized aspect of it, but we try to gather the co-assistance of, for example, university students. We do practices with them, we use reusable materials, and then we do pilot projects. At this moment, we tried pilot projects on specific areas. So from the data we gathered from the pilot projects, we are thinking about neighborhood scale of work. So it is from pilot to neighborhood to the whole city. And then for the assessment of the future aspects, I would say the analysis is, we have this gathering of university-based professors and researchers. So we have these like round table institutionalized, and then they analyze what we've done, how we can provide them. And we did this with how to create an Izmir project. For example, we did a lot of network, a lot of, coming together, and we did analyze them. So we have this reports of each aspects of the city problems, for example, food scarcity, water source management, energy, transportation. So they are, so we need both municipal aspect and then the university aspect, academic aspects to make it go forward. Yeah.
Okay. Really, thank you, Darin, for your presentation, also for your answer. And thank you also for your participation to our session. Really, thank you. And now we have the last presentation that is with Stefano Cunto, that I have seen before, Stefania Ragozzino, Lorenzo Lodato, Federica Morra, and also myself. Stefano, the title of your presentation is Psugo Urban Living Lab, an educational space for urban commons in Naples. Thank you, Stefano, for your kind participation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just 1 second, please. Can you show the slide? Mi sentite?
Yes, but it's not.
You can see the presentation.
Still not clear. If you just share the may suggest to share the whole screen.
Marco, come Just 1 moment, please. I'm ready. Okay. Ok, non sono in condivisione, giusto? Scusatemi, c'è un po' di problemi. Ok. Okay, good morning. Good morning to everyone. My name is Stefano Cunto, and I am PhD in architecture at Federico II University. And today I will present the preliminary results of the Psugo Urban Living Lab that was developed in Naples as part of the Erasmus Plus project Psugo. This study was done with Lorenzo Lodato, a Napolitan sociologist and activist, the architect Federica Morra, the professor Maria Cerreta, who lectured in valuation at the Federico II department, and with the scientific responsibility of CNR researcher Stefania Ragozzino. Psugo is an European project founded by the Erasmus Plus program. The name stands for a participatory skills for sustainable urban governance. The main goal of the project is to activate the 4 urban living lab in different European cities to create real-life environments where student, local resident, urban planner, and policymaker can collaborate. Through this lab, the project aims to promote the co-creation of innovative solutions to complex urban problems and support the learning process of students, researchers, and local stakeholders, promoting dialogue between academic knowledge, life experience, and policymaking. The triennial project is the results of European collaboration between university, research institution, cultural organization, and social innovation actors, put together by the University of Cyprus, who is the scientific coordinator of the project. The partnership consists of a multidisciplinary working group that brings together academic expertise, civic experience, and experimental approach to urban transformation. In this group, supported by ISOP in the role of advisor board, the research institutions are in charge of setting up laboratories on specific urban contexts and issues. The Brandenburg University of Technology coordinates the laboratory in the city of Cottbus in Germany. In Italy, CNR IRIS is responsible of the lab in Naples, while the Palermo Urban Solution Hub is responsible for the case of Palermo. Finally, the University of Cyprus is responsible for setting up the Urban Living Lab in the city of Nicosia. So we are running 4 urban living labs in parallel. In addition, 2 cultural organizations contribute to methodological and pedagogical development. The no-profit Social Fringe, which promote narrative, artistic, and memorial practice in a participatory process, and Urban Foxes, which is responsible for the methodological development of the project based on the Learn to Show approach. On the scale of the Napoli case studio, the local working group was formed on the initiative of CNR IRIS. This involved the University of Naples Federico II through the EvaluAb, the Evaluation Laboratory of the Department of Architecture, and 2 important civic organizations, the Napolitan section of the National Committee Mare Libero Pulito e Gratuito, Free, Clean and Accessible Sea, and the community of the Lidopola, an urban common good in the west part of the city. The process are supported within the Urban Living Lab thanks to the constant work of a group of 15 participants called lab rectors, including students, researchers, and professionals from different areas, and 4 facilitators from CNR, Lidopola, and EvaluAb. This core team is the driving force of and play a key role in facilitating activities, making a real contribution to learning through action. In this context, a fundamental role is played by the committee as active stakeholder capable of promoting key claims regarding access to the sea. Indeed, the inclusion of grassroots activist group in the project emerged from the growing and urgent need to build a structured dialogue between active citizens, local community, and public institutions in the management of the urban resource. In particular, the committee has become a key actor in the struggle for the right of the sea and in advocacy for the new forms of governance for coastal liminal area. This alliance helped to define the main themes of the laboratory, focusing on the role of the sea as a urban commons in a city like Naples, where access to the sea is very limited. This inaccessibility mainly affects the liminal area between the city and the coast, as clearly shown as the map produced by the Living Lab. To the west and east, barriers to access are caused by the presence of 2 large polluted sites awaiting restoration, marked in pink on the map, and extension of the port in purple. In the central area, however, the main problem is the progressive privatization of coastal areas for residential and exclusive purposes. A final critical issue concerns bathability. The area where the water quality is suitable for the bathing, showing blue and light blue on the map, frequently coincide with the part of the coast that are currently inaccessible. Based on the evidence, the Urban Living Lab working group has defined 4 strategic directions: reclaim the sea for the city, co-producing knowledge and shared strategies, fortifying a temporary community, and promote a development of collaborative governance experimentation. To coordinate and make the process across the different case studies comparable, each Urban Living Lab follows the same process framework. However, each Living Lab adapted and interpreted the methodology based on the specific of its local context, including the territorial challenge, community dynamics, and partnership involved. The process follows 5 interactive and interconnected phases: co-identification of the theme, participatory exploration of the context, co-design and experimentation of solution, public presentation of the result, and a cross-cut phase of evaluation and feedback. In today's presentation, we will focus especially on the first phase, time choice, outline the process, the tools employed, and the key outcomes achieved in the Naples Urban Living Lab. In Naples, the time choice phase was conceptualizing as a recursive process in which each step both informs and is redefined by the other. For instance, the shared value generated in the first activity guiding the formulating of preliminary objectives in the second. Yet those very objectives, in turn, contributed to the emergence of new value elements. Similarly, the identification of common problem influenced the stakeholder analysis, just as the involvement of stakeholders brought new insight that helped to redefine objectives and priorities. This circular and reflective dynamic made it possible to gradually build a manifesto of the Naples Urban Living Lab, a shared framework of intention and principles within which the 15 participants and of the lab and the representatives of the organization involved recognize themselves and declare their commitment to collective action. The first activity of the time choice phase focused on building of a set of shared value in order to create a common and operative framework. This activity was directly inspired by the value-focused thinking methodology, which placed the concept of value at the heart of decision-making. To collect this value, a questionnaire was distributed to all participants in the lab. And in this questionnaire was included the 38 value-based keyword selected through the qualitative analysis of motivation letters submitted during the application phase. Each participant was asked to choose 5 words that best represented their personal vision and the contribution they intend to bring to the lab. Based on the response, a frequency analysis was conducted which produced an initial set of shared values represented in the word cloud. The words such as responsabilization, self-organization, participation, environmental justice, and collective recovery are those most frequently selected by participants. The second step of the time choice phase focused on the definition of preliminary objectives and the sub-objectives. The activity was carried out throughout the creation of 3 collaborative working tables. Each group worked starting from the set of shared values using a variety of collaborative tools. The resulting objectives were defined as preliminary because they were not yet fully informed by the outputs of the subsequent phase, but already capable of expressing a shared strategic direction. Among the main objectives are promoting environments for co-creation and knowledge sharing, recognize the sea as a urban commons good, and exploring a mutualistic approach inspired by the logic of the gift economy. Each preliminary object was then linked to 4 sub-objectives understood as operational and synergistic levels allied with the strategic direction. These include horizontal participation in the decision-making process, the care of linear cost space to ensure inclusive access to the sea resource, the collective reappropriation of tangible and intangible coastal assets, and the restoration of ecological connection between humans and nature. The third phase of the time choice process focused on analyzing the problems found within the governance model of urban commons in Naples. As in the previous phase, the activity was carried out through 3 collaborative working tables, and the objective was to build a shared understanding of systemic challenge by investigating the visible problems and the underlying causes that generate them. To do this, a collaborative causal analysis methodology was applied based on the fishbone diagram, which helped to stimulate dialogue and collective reflection. Through this process, 4 key problems were identified, such as inequity in decision-making power among the actors involved, the limited transformative capacity of common-based communities, the reproduction of hierarchical logic even within commons initiatives, and the difficulty in replacing the Napolitan model in other contexts. These problems were then linked to a set of systematic cases. The diagram on the right emerged from the cross-analysis of the 3 tables, showing how both problems and causes were positioned along 2 qualitative dimensions, the level of complexity for the problems and the level of the relevance for the causes. The stakeholder mapping activity is the final step in the theme choice process and plays a crucial role in guiding the engagement and the co-design strategies in the subsequent phase of the Living Lab. The activity was organized around 4 working tables, each dedicated to one of the 4 sectors of the quadruple helix. The laboratory worked in group to identify specific actors who could be involved in the relation to the various strategic sub-objectives previously defined. Each table also included a reflection on a 5th non-human actor, the sea itself. The idea was to shift perspective, recognizing the sea as a stakeholder, one that should be respected and included in decision-making process. The graphic summary of the cross-analysis of the data collected at the 4th table show the distribution of the actor associated with each sub-objective, broken down by category. This analysis made it possible to develop the specific engagement strategies aligned with the lab objective and based on the recognition of the plurality of actors involved, both human and not human. The manifesto of Pseudo-Urban Living Lab represents the first public act of the temporary community that formed around the lab. It is not simply a formal document, but rather a framework of shared intention within which the participants recognize themselves and declare their common intent. At the heart of the manifesto lies a clear and ambitious vision, the formal and substantive recognition of Naples' liminal coast areas as a urban commons. The mission defined by the lab through this manifesto is to build an enabling environment for the producing of shared knowledge by promoting a collaborative, experimental, and transformative process based on the mutual learning and action research. The ultimate goal is to produce evidence capable of legitimating civic claims regarding the access to, managed of, and care of the sea as a common good. Looking back at the process so far, in terms of potential, the manifesto has been a useful tool to create a common vision and support collective action. Thanks to the method and the involvement of different types of actors, it's possible to build a strong collaboration based on mutual trust and putting shared value at the center help give the direction and clarity to the next step of the Living Lab. Of course, some difficulties also emerged. For example, the temporarity and the voluntary nature of the lab made it harder to keep the political institution involved over time. Also, the different languages and way of working between activists, researchers, and institution required a lot of mediation and coordination. In conclusion, the manifesto lays the value-based foundations up which the subsequent phase of exploration and co-creation and experimentation are still being developed. As for the current and the next steps, during the exploration phase, the group created a map of the sea access point in Naples, a useful tool to understand and protect the city's coastal heritage. And now, in the co-creation phase, the group is preparing a policy document to start a collaborative process with the public administration, focusing on better access, care, and shared governance of the sea and coastal space. The process are expected to conclude in October with a public event for the dissemination of the results. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you so much. It's really interesting, the methodological process that has been implemented in the different contexts of Urban Living Lab, and especially in Naples, because it is related to a resources as the sea that is an example of commons that could be interesting to explore, starting from the perspective of values. About your presentation, I have a curiosity. Do you think that the mutual learning process that has been activated during the Living Lab different phases has been explored in the best way, considering the different techniques and models, or could be improved, especially considering the need to have a sort of a permanent laboratory in the city of Naples, with the idea to consider the sea as a common good to defend in a continuous process that cannot be stopped with the end of the project.
Yes, one of the most important goal of this project is to create environment that can be able the community to create a dialogue with the administration to prove in governance experimentation for the care of this kind of space in the town. And yes, the methodology and the working group are fundamental for this starting phase that with the Urban Living Lab are in action. But is obviously that the ambition is to continue is to andare, cioè, vogliamo provare ad andare avanti, let's go to away.
To promote it, to grow into time.
Yes.
Thank you, really thank you, Stefano. And I don't know if there are some other consideration and suggestion from the other participant. No, it's okay. I thank you, every one of you, for your kind participation to this session. The triad workshop has the purpose is to explore the opportunity of temporary uses, but also of the common good in regeneration of the cities at the different level. And I think that the different contribution that participate to this session have contributed to give a different perspective on the concept of common good, but also the opportunity to implement the temporary uses as an action strategies for the regeneration of the cities, but also for a perspective based on multidimensional values, and considering especially the decision-making process as a learning process for all the participants with a common purpose. So I really thank you, each one of you, and I hope to meet you in another occasion for an interesting debate. So really thank you for starting from the ICCSA conference in Istanbul for me. Thank you so much.
Professor Cerreta?
And also thank you to Giulio Biondi for his kind support in a very difficult session.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for handling that through the difficulties. Just a brief reminder, I sent you on your institutional email the link to the evaluation form, Professor. So if you could fill it as a chair of the session, that would be great.